Hello, and welcome to Meet Our Ex's Success Story podcast. I'm host and coach Amanda Leah, and I'm super excited to speak with our guest today. Not only is she a biomedical scientist, nutritionist, and certified Cravings coach, she's also a sugar addict of 35 years who's finally in recovery and achieving food freedom. So we're super excited to hear your story. Thanks so much for joining us, Pim Jansson.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much for inviting me. This will be interesting, I think.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you. So let's get started. Please just tell us all about your diet and health before you began eating the way you currently do.
Right. So I've always been interested in nutrition. That's just been one of these things that I'm naturally interested in. So I've always been reading up about it. And, when you're young, you get your information from media in some way. Usually at that time, I'm much older than 35, but and I don't know when my sugar addiction started, but when you go back to that time, it wasn't so much internet, it was mostly magazines, etc. So this is where I probably got my first education from, and it was obviously eating a lot of vegetables. And yes, we shouldn't eat a lot of fat, but yes, we do need some fat. So I always try to add a little bit of fat. And what kind of fat would I add? Vegetable oils, because that's what we were recommended to use. So I think just not going through my whole childhood, but in my early 20s, I became a personal trainer, and not long after that, a diet advisor. And at this time, I thought I knew everything because I had done this course. And I was like, yeah, I know it all. I had this little program where I could put all the macros in, and it would calculate the calories and how many nutrients you got of everything, and if I was deficient in iron or zinc or whatever. So I could create a diet by putting ingredients in there that was perfect. So the first thing I noticed was, like, that is really, really hard to do, to get all the nutrients that you need according to the recommended daily intake, at the same time as you're not going over with your calories. It's pretty much impossible. So the closest to the perfect food I actually got was pancakes, believe it or not, because eggs are very nutrient dense. And then you have the flour, and the milk is pretty good as well, but the flour provided the carbohydrates that you needed to get up to 50-60%. So I was like, sweet, pancakes. You know what? I'm going to have pancakes every lunch. So I usually had breakfast. I can't really remember what I ate at this time. I try to be healthy, so I might have had like a banana smoothie or yogurt with some fruit and nuts, etc., if I recall correctly. And then I came to work, and I was usually there quite early. I was, coaching some clients in the gym, and then I had, my stack of pancakes, and I was like, yeah, this will give me everything that I need. And at the time I was eating like 6 times per day, because that's what you need to do to keep your blood sugar stable. So I was one of these people that's just like eating, and then eating again, and plenty of carbs, because that's what you were supposed to do. And I liked pastas, and that wasn't a problem. And when you are in your early 20s, you can handle that. Your body's fine. But something that I knew, when you're working in that environment, you see your colleagues, and they're all fit, and they pretty skinny, most of them. And I never was. I was fit, I had muscles, but I also had that padding everywhere. And I didn't put this down to my diet as such. I put it down to the sugar that I had on top, which might be part of it, but I don't think that's the whole truth, to be honest, because I've always been a sugar addict. So when you live in Stockholm, where I grew up, I always had to travel almost an hour to work and an hour back, and it wasn't in a car, it was in the subway. And then you walk past these little shops, and they always have like, buy 3 chocolate bars for this price. And I was like, oh yes, every other day or every day, buying 3. And being a sugar addict, you can't save 2. You're going to eat them all. So that pretty much happened several days per week, if not every day. So that's not, it's not going to be great. When I studied nutrition at the university, I started to think, okay, I'm going to start, not eat so much sugar. But I was a proper sugar burner, and I I thought there was something wrong with me, not with my diet, because I'm super interested in nutrition. We had really, really interesting lecturers, and I fell asleep. And this is in a class of 28 students, I think. So it's not like I could hide in the corner and sleep, but I just could not stay awake. So I started to bring in like boxes with fruit salad, so I could just sit and pick, fruit throughout the lectures. Everybody lectured to not fall asleep. That was the only way I could stay awake. And that's kind of embarrassing, but I was just like, I need something to do. I need, to do something, and I put something in my mouth so I'm not falling asleep. And this probably made things even worse, because I can imagine what my, if I had a continuous blood glucose meter on, then I don't really want to know what it looked like, but it must have looked horrible. So I had one classmate.
Did you notice any health issues at the time? I mean, apart from the continuous glucose monitor not being there.
Yes, sort of. So every morning when I woke up, I was very, very stiff. My joints hurt, but that kind of went away throughout the day. And I thought I'm just overtraining, because I was doing quite a lot of classes, and in addition, so I wasn't just training people on the gym floor. I was also doing spinning and body pump and core training, some aerobics, like, pretty much everything. So it takes a toll on your body. So I just put it down to that. I'm probably doing too many classes. I probably should cut down, but I needed money, so you keep doing it. And I have one girl in my class. She was interested in a low carb, high fat diet, and she was asking questions about that. And first I was like, that's crazy. High fat, that's going to give you a heart attack. It can't be good. It doesn't matter if you lose weight. But then I kind of started thinking, oh, well, maybe, I have this extra fat. I'm going to try it. And I lost weight. And the cravings were sort of gone, but I got a bit of hybrid. So I started, with one, and it was fine. And then I thought I could, I can do that. I'm not going to get hooked. But as soon as you have that sort of thinking, you do get hooked, and you just start putting more and more in. And all of a sudden, you're back to where you were before. So I went on and off the keto diet. And at this time, I can't really remember if my joints improved or not. But I know I went on and off the diet. I tried to always be low carb. So I went from keto to paleo, because I was doing so much exercise, and I got into my head that actually I needed carbs, but I shouldn't be eating the processed stuff. So I guess that was better than my previous diets. I was eating a paleo diet. There were some sweet potatoes in there, but mostly semi-low carb vegetables, but quite a lot of them. And still, at this stage, I was probably still using seed oils to some degree. I was using a lot of coconut oil, but I think I probably had some seed oils in the house as well. I wasn't into butter at the time. And then around, trying to think back, 13 years ago, I moved to the UK. And you know what, in the UK, things are not like in Sweden. In Sweden, if you want to go and buy a donut, you have a cupboard in the bakery. You take a donut and you put it in a bag, and you get one donut. In the UK, you have 5 packs of everything. You can't buy one donut. So what's happening when I want a donut? I get 5 donuts. I eat 5 donuts. So my weight just started going up, and I was like, oh my God, what is happening? I remember keto diet's good. I'm going to do this. Cut it out. And I did some research, and I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. Cut it out. And I felt terrible. I couldn't get into the fat burning mode. I was such a sugar burner. I couldn't get to that state at all. And I clearly have been there before, but this time it didn't work. And I tried to go out for a very light jog, just to kind of get that going. And it was like my legs were made of lead. I couldn't run. It was like I was 100 years old and my legs just wouldn't move. And it was really, really strange. And then I went on, if you know, Mark's Daily Apple, and I went on that forum. I was like, what am I doing wrong? Help me. And someone was like, okay, what are you eating? And I was like, I'm eating this and that and that. But what I did wrong was that since I can have up to 50 grams of carbs per day, I ate 1 fruit every day. They were like, take it away. I was like, oh shit, how am I going to do this? Took the fruit away, boom. I went into ketosis. I went into a fat burning mode. I remember going to the gym. I went to spin classes. I was doing weights. I was doing just as well as before. I wouldn't say that I necessarily was doing better, but there was no difference whatsoever. And I just felt really, really good. And pretty much since then, I've been pretty keto, low carbish most of the time, but with the keto treats, because I didn't know any better. I thought that was safe.
Right. That's totally fair. A lot of us do. Wow.
Yeah.
It's such a story. Sugar is super insidious, isn't it? I mean, we all know sugar's bad, but the underlying implications of sugar burning diets often escape us, let alone the understanding of how intense the addiction is, and how it can kick us in the butt. So how about now? So since then you said you've been doing something keto-ish. So share more about how you're implementing your way of eating now and how you, I mean, what do you eat?
What do I eat? Yeah, okay. So let's say this was about 2 years ago. My partner, you might know about him, Bart K, the nutrition science watchdog, he was like, I'm gonna do the carnivore diet. So I was like, what the hell are you doing now? You know, you need the vegetables for your gut flora, surely. That was like, I wasn't even like convinced that you need fiber. I was just like, but the gut flora probably needs the fiber. And he was like, no, I'm gonna do this. And then he finally did it. And he was like, my anxiety's gone, I feel great. And I was like, okay, well, I like my vegetables. I don't give a shit. So I cooked his meat and I was like, that's so boring. But I cooked his meat and he was just doing that. And I was like, well, I keep doing my keto, paleo, keto, low carb, whatever way of eating, and it's fine. He was feeling great. And I was just like, okay, so actually there's a lot of work to go and buy the vegetables and cook them and do all of these things. And just as an experiment, I'm going to try this bloody carnivore diet. I'm going to try it for 30 days, see what's happening. And I didn't do the perfect carnivore diet. I went to buy, smoked chicken breasts and salami and all those things, because I was like, if I can do the most boring diet on earth, I can pretty much do bloody anything. And, shouldn't be a problem. And it was pretty boring in the beginning. Before your taste buds are getting used to it, it's just like, what the hell? There's no variation. The only thing that gave me any joy was the taste of the salami or the smoked chicken breast. And I was like, I can't eat more steak, it's so bland. And I tried to do all these things like slow cooked lamb and stuff, and I was like, it was just growing in my mouth, and I was like, no, god, this is not great. And I did have some stomach upset that most people probably get, and I was losing a little bit of weight, but after a few weeks, it was like, actually, it's not a problem anymore. And I think you just need to get into this, getting used to this taste. I was cheating a little bit because we were renting a flat where they had grapes out in the garden. So I was actually eating some grapes when I was doing this because they were there, and I was like, I can't just leave them. I have to eat grapes. But other than that, I was pretty good. So now I'm a bit more lenient. I tried a very strict carnivore diet again, maybe a year ago or something. I didn't do well. I tried to eat a lot of fat. I had like Wagyu burgers and that sort of thing. And I did do some chicken stock, so it wasn't just beef. But after day 15 or 16, I got depressed. And I'm never depressed. I was so down, and it was like, I remember we lived in this really rainy area at the time, and the sun was out. It was a beautiful day, no clouds, and it would just be one of those days when I just feel so happy normally, because I love the sun, and I would be like, oh my god, this is amazing. And I just felt like, what's the point of living? And I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. So I went to the supermarket. I bought 2 kilos of blueberries. I just like thawed them, put them in the microwave, and just ate a big bowl of blueberries. And then I did the same thing the next day, and I was fine. So it's clearly something there that wasn't working for me, whether that was my, maybe not enough fat, even though I actually tried. Maybe I wasn't in such a good fat burning mode as I thought. I didn't really know what the problem was. So now I'm sort of, what I'm eating now, sometimes I have I do drink some chicken stock or make some egg drop soup or something. I eat a lot of eggs usually. I do chicken liver pate, which is actually quite good. I'm trying to eat my liver, but right now I'm kind of off that pate as well because I'm not a huge organ fan. I do a lot of just steaks, a lot of raw steak almost. I like to sear it very lightly on the outside, like 30 seconds on each side. So my dear boyfriend is just like, what the hell? He likes it well done. I don't get it because that's just dry and boring to me. I can't eat that. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. Sometimes we have like pork ribs, maybe once every 3 weeks. I make these amazing beef heart burgers, which is like just minced beef heart, and I mix it with I mix it with other beef mince and put them in the air fryer. When I do that though, I do have some onions with it and barbecue sauce because that is just like, it just makes it amazing. They would probably be good without it, but I don't feel bad eating, a little bit of barbecue sauce and some onions every now and then. I still have blueberries in the freezer, so when I feel like I need something, I just get the blueberries out, basically. But
that's great. I was going to ask about that. Do you still find so when you do your blueberries, are you still in ketosis, or do you test, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. I don't regularly test at all. I do have a blood glucose meter here, but I've never measured my ketones whatsoever. And I'm not so bothered. Some days I don't even think about the blueberries. I mean, in the beginning, I was like obsessively eating blueberries after my steak every day. And now I'm like, maybe it's once a week. I don't even know. Maybe it's twice sometimes. Maybe it goes a week and I'm not having them. But there might be something else. I'm an opportunistic carnivore. So they're kind of gone now, but we have a park about 5 minutes walk from here, and they have fig trees there. And I'm like, I'm going to have one, I'm not too bothered because I'm not one of these people that I don't have an autoimmune condition and I won't feel bad from eating a fig here and there. So from my perspective, I'm just going to eat what feels good to me and what's nourishing my body.
That's
and
excellent.
What's simple. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. That's tremendous. It sounds like a very powerful way to take care of yourself and maintain top health. In terms of the sugar addiction, though, I do wonder, is the blueberry or the fig or anything, I wonder for myself, because I do similar things. If I reach for that, is that because of my underlying addiction where I'm like, I just can't handle not having something sweet in my life once in a while? Is that where that depression, because I think I've felt something similar when I do eliminate things completely. So I wonder, is that part of that need to have that sweetness for joy? Is that
the depression that I felt when I was doing the carnivore diet, I don't think that had anything to do with that. That was very, very strange to me. It was just, I wasn't even thinking about the sugar at the time. It was just like everything was gray and dull, and I don't know what went wrong there. I have no idea. I mean, it might have been the fact that I didn't get those carbs in, maybe a serotonin deficiency, like an acute one or something like that. I have no idea, but it wasn't the mental addiction that is actually my biggest problem. It wasn't that was playing in there. But it's very interesting. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no. I'd love you to continue, please.
It's very interesting that you mentioned that particular thing, because I think, when I walk in the park and I see a fig, that is kind of like a trigger, like, oh, there's a fig and it's going to taste nice. I need to have that one. I don't think that is a problem though, because having that fig is not going to send me into a binge mode or having more cravings. If it did, I would probably avoid it, but I don't see it as a problem for me. But I do think that is part of the addiction and the opportunistic thing. Oh my God, I need to have that because it's there.
I feel like that's there for me a little bit. Like, I feel like, it's more mental. It's not necessarily, it's like I see it and I'm like, oh, well, maybe that will trigger me to have others, maybe not, but I need that thing not because I need it physically, but mentally I see it and I'm like, oh yeah. So, but speaking of mental, so how has that been since? How has it been since your way of eating? I mean, since you took on keto and experimenting with carnivore and just where you are at now, how is your overall health? how are you managing your addiction now? Or how did you come about managing your addiction through this way of eating?
Right. So maybe 3 years ago, I got a coach, and I didn't get this for any sort of eating. It's because I'm a life coach. I'm an educated life coach, and as such, I wanted to get coaching myself. I wanted to learn more from my coach, etc. So I got it for that reason. But it turns out that she had been doing a lot of treating people who are suffering from emotional eating. And in the beginning, I was like, oh, well, whatever, that doesn't apply to me. I'm not an emotional eater. I'm a sugar addict. It's totally different. But then I was like, when she's talking about this, and she's like, yeah, but when I'm eating, it's usually because I'm bored. I want to procrastinate. I'm restless, those kind of feelings. And they make me go to the fridge or the cupboard, just open it. I know there's nothing there, but I'm going to go there, I'm going to open it, I'm going to look for something. And it doesn't make any sense because I know there's nothing in there. I'll do it anyway. And I was like, oh, those are emotions. So maybe I'm an emotional eater. It sounds so silly. Now I'm like, oh my God, did I really? It wasn't that long ago since I did that, but I didn't realize that I was an emotional eater. So it kind of started to spin around in my head. I was like, maybe I should try this. Maybe it will work for me. Because I had kind of accepted that I'm always going to be a sugar addict, that I'm never going to be able to do anything about it. And it's always going to be a struggle. I'm always going to be on and off the sugar. And that's just how my life goes. And I wouldn't say that I'm 100% recovered. Absolutely not. But I think that is part of the recovery process, that you are actually falling down and you're having these relapses. I haven't yet met anyone who's not had a single relapse. So what I'm doing is, it's really, really easy in theory, and it's really, really easy to do. It's just that your brain is fighting you all the time. So when I'm having a craving, I will just, okay, acknowledge that I have that craving. So what actually caused that craving? Start thinking about it. Okay, what thought did I have? Okay, what did that thought do to me? So I was thinking, oh my God, I want chocolate. And that thought will make me feel like I need chocolate. I will start salivating. I will get all these kind of signs of that chocolate is coming. So I'm preparing my body for getting chocolate. But if I can kind of just take a step back and almost like step out of my own body and just look at me, and it's like, I'd be really objective, and it's like, there's Pim, she's sitting there, she's having a thought that she wants chocolate and she's salivating. I can kind of distance myself from that. It's like, so what? That does not mean that I need to go and get chocolate. But when you're in that emotion yourself and you're caught up in it, it's like, I need chocolate. It's like someone is taking you over and just need to go and get that bloody chocolate. But when you can kind of take a step away and see what's going on, and it's just a physiological reaction, it's just thoughts, it's just what's happening with the salivation. You know what? It's not that hard to do. And when you've done it, what I found is like, you have a craving and it's kind of flying here, but when you kind of look at it, it's like, oh shit, I'm discovered, and it's just gonna sneak away and it's gone. But when you get caught up in it, it's not going away. It's just sitting there. It's like, you have to have chocolate, you have to have chocolate. So it's really easy to do. But then when you are feeling down, you're stressed or whatever, you're like, no, I can't be bothered to do that work, which is really simple to do. And you're gonna go and eat the chocolate. And your brain's going to be like, oh, but you've been so good lately, you need to go and get that. And you're like, okay, then whatever. I haven't eaten sugar in 2 weeks. And then lo and behold, the sugar cravings are back. So you just need to kind of stay on top of that and make the commitment to do the work every single time you have a craving. And the more times you practice that behavior, the easier it's going to be to do that every single time you have a craving. So it's like I spoke about before, the neural pathways. If you start doing a different behavior every time you have a craving, that will be on autopilot after a while, but you need to practice that quite a few times before that it's happening. And every time you reinforce your old pathway, you're kind of you're not undoing the work, because the new pathway will still be there, but you're still reinforcing the old pathway, and that one is still very, very strong in me. So I just need to keep practicing the new one and get better at that. And there is a lot of progress. I mean, where I am now, 3 years ago, I could never have imagined having any sort of control over my cravings. I didn't know that I had a choice in actually, you know, cravings are cravings. Of course, I have to obey. I didn't know there was a choice to not obey. So where I am now, I'm really, really happy with it. And my goal for 2020 was to teach myself to not like the sweet taste anymore. I'm not quite as close to that as I would have hoped, considering we are in August. But it's because honestly, I haven't put the work in that was needed. I've had so many other projects and like, yeah, that can wait. Well, it's not going to come on its own. I will have to put the work in and just give that some priority at some point if I actually want to reach my goal by the end of this year.
Wow. And what a goal. Amazing goal. I love it. I kind of want to take it on. That's really huge. But what you're saying is so true. The work is so important. And as soon as you drop it, like as soon as you let that voice in, instead of looking at that's huge. And I love how you described looking at yourself and watching the experience, and very mindful. And also you're right. What fires together wires together, right? Neurologically. Okay. So if you just keep working on, firing those, I don't want sugar, what's sweetness, ew.
Yeah, well, exactly. And then it's like, yes, you do.
Yeah, it's like, no, I didn't wire that. Wait a minute, that's not supposed to fire. So that'll be great. I'll look forward to hearing how that goes. So, wow, what a great story. Before we go and say goodbye, is there anything else you'd like to share with others who are dealing with the same concerns you're addressing, or just taking on a similar way of eating?
Yeah, I used to have that sort of, I do have those videos still on my YouTube channel, but I wanted to kind of separate that because I have so many carnivore diet followers and they just want to, know about my knowledge about nutrition, which doesn't have anything to do with the sugar cravings. So I actually created a new YouTube channel, which is a lot smaller, and I'm still kind of working on getting that up and running because we only have 24 hours a day, but it's called The Sugar Channel. So that might be a good place to start. There would be some tips about how to handle your cravings, and I'm talking a little bit about why we have this addiction and that it's actually quite normal, etc. Or you can search, I have a Facebook group called Life Without Cravings on Facebook, so they can join there, and we have some really good people in there. I run 30-day no sugar challenges regularly. We're in the middle of one right now, so you can't join that one, but there will be more coming up later on. And some people are on the fourth run doing that challenge. And I actually have one on my previous quitters. She's helping me out now, and we're going to do some training together for the group very soon. So people are getting, the support in there is just amazing. So I'm actually taking a step back when I'm doing the challenges, because we have a private Facebook group for that as well. And I'm just looking at, watching people helping each other, and they watch my trainings. I have videos every day coming up, and they're just helping each other. And it's so amazing for me to see. So I do answer comments. I'm in there every day and seeing what people are writing. But what I love most about that is actually seeing the support that people are giving each other. And now, this girl, Patricia, she's just stepping up, she's stepping in, and I made her moderator. She's just helping me with this 30-day no challenge group, and she's doing tremendously. And I'm looking at her answers sometimes, and it's like, well, she's doing this better than I can. So it's amazing. So it's great to see when people are doing that. And we have a lot of carnivores in there. People do the challenge for other things as well. They quit cheese, they quit coffee, maybe artificial sweeteners, keto bread. We have all sorts of things that people are quitting. So it doesn't have to just be sugar. Maybe I should rename the challenge, but it's kind of a name that I've stuck with now. So I'm probably going to stick with it. But people quit one thing at a time, and they just keep joining the challenge, and they keep rewatching the videos that I've done. So it's amazing. So that's if you're struggling, I would advise that you come. It's totally free. So you have nothing to lose.
That's amazing. Wow. And your new channel also sounds great. I did take a peek already last night.
All right.
It sounds great. And I'm sure it's going to blow up just like your other one. But the support that you're talking about, it's so great. Patricia sounds amazing. I'm glad she's supporting you, but it's amazing that your community is working together. Shawn has
Yeah.
lately been talking a lot about supplement support, and that's what we have here at MeterX. So thank you so much for being here to support our community here at MeterX and everything you're doing for this fat burning community. And just thanks for sharing your story. It was so nice to meet you, Pim.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a blast, even though it's very early here. I'm really happy to be able to share this, and I'm hoping that it will help, at least a few people, because I know that not everyone is cured by eating a carnivore diet, clearly. And for some people, it feels like we're just struggling and we don't know, something's wrong with us, but actually, no, it's just biology. Don't worry. So thank
true.
you.
Not our fault, but we can totally commit to doing better. So
yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you. Thank you for your time, Pim Jansson.
Thank you.
So nice to meet you. Have a great
Thanks.
day.
You too. Bye.
No fab.